It's a fucking joke.
Heartfelt.
No, how could you say that?
I'm a dumbass.
That means you're gay.
No, God, please, no.
A man and a woman.
I'm kind of retarded.
You are fake news.
Negus.
I'm upset.
Be offended.
Do you love black people?
You ain't black.
I don't care.
Schlong COVID.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
How about you?
Hot like a tamale.
Try to relax your anus.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Come on, man.
What is it, you period?
Oh, rim shot.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That ended abruptly. What's up, all you crazy capitalists, you witty whiskey enthusiasts? Welcome to the Whiskey Capitalist Podcast. I'm Ian.
And I'm Sean.
You good over there? It startled me too.
I'm fine. I just thought it was hilarious. You're like, oh, that ended real quick. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I thought we were just going to do a thing and therefore we're just going to wait for a few seconds before we say anything. Awkward, you know?
Did you click anything?
Did I do what?
Did you click anything or did it just end?
No,
I'm
I
so
didn't touch it.
confused.
I didn't touch anything. It ended normal for me.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know
Sorry.
what to tell you, buddy.
I'm flustered already. I don't know what it is. The past like 10 episodes just start flustered. It's great. It's awesome. I'm here for it. All right. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow, and comment down below so you can help out with the algorithm and we can get to more eye holes, ear holes, whatever you want to call it. Go to solo.to/the whiskey capitalist for all of our links and ways to stay up to date with us. Go to bit.ly/the whiskey capitalist merch for all of our fanny packs, all of our t-shirts. I should probably start with t-shirts, not fanny packs, but because we have more than just fanny packs.
Yeah, but I think fanny packs are a big seller, right?
They are pretty good. We have a lot of wait, do we have the Biden ones on fanny packs? I don't know, but that would be hilarious. All right. So tonight, yeah, exactly. So tonight we are going to be talking about it's going to be a quick one. We you said you got some stuff going on there at home, so do you want to get into that at all or no? Are we leaving that?
I mean, like it's just, you know, my my role as a parent is needed in great value for tonight because the kids have not been in the best of health. So it's important that I spend some time and help out whenever possible. So yeah, it's gonna be a shorter one for today.
Okay, so
I mean, like the losing horn for their immune system. Their immune system sucks because they're kids.
yeah, I mean, and I'm sure it probably hasn't gotten better because the last 2 years, everything has been superbly cleaned, and all this stuff. So they don't even have that like kid immune system. You know what I mean? Where you.
Yeah, I mean for the most part, but you'd be surprised. Like kids they always find a way to like eat dirt or like put their lips on something that they should not be doing. They should not be doing that too. I shared that one thing on Twitter earlier.
I saw that, dude.
Oh no! Like I was sharing like the one thing. It was literally just a kid that just like put his his tongue and like his top lips like back and forth on like public glass.
Yeah,
oh God, it's disgusting.
And, like, I saw that. And found. So, because like whenever when you get a notification from Twitter, whatever, it just says like the first couple of lines, and it doesn't show the video or it doesn't show whatever the content is you're sharing if you are. And so I saw that and I was like, oh, I'll get to it later. And then I actually opened it and I was like, God damn it, why didn't I watch this earlier? This shit's hilarious.
Just a weird gif of a loser ginger child licking glass.
Yeah, the kid had no soul, so this can only hope for so much from him.
Probably no immune system.
Yeah, exactly. Soul and immune system completely void in that child. So, but with us doing that, we should probably get into some stuff since it's going to be a quick one. We're going to cover a little bit more about the Kevin McCarthy 13-vote long battle for the Speaker of the House election, filled with spicy comments from both sides of the aisle and an almost physical fight on the House floor from Mike Rogers, who is from Alabama, which that makes sense, towards Matt Gaetz. It was a wild display of democracy, to say the least. So
honestly, it's a little bit more like Parliament.
Yeah, exactly.
Parliament, they have some balls. Like they actually get into fights, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, it was the vote was also at like 10 p.m. Eastern time. So I can understand. And what's funny is when the cameras first turned on, because yes, I am a nerd. I watched the C-SPAN when it was happening. You could see that they like came in and their ties were a little more loose, and they looked like they're like, fuck it, we're gonna go to the bar and get a couple drinks, like in between doing all this voting. Like, I know where my vote is. They need to get them dingleberries together, whatever. So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, so maybe not the physical part was such a great display of democracy, but the debate and discussion how the process should happen. We also discussed Dan Crenshaw appearing with bloody knuckles towards the end of the voting, and there being reports of him being a complete Kyle and punching holes in walls, which I have a story about punching holes in walls, and we'll get to that. And also him calling conservatives that were the holdouts terrorists. That's interesting.
Bad call.
Because Crenshaw is such a great dude. So anyways, we also discussed the path forward for conservatives in the House and their plans to investigate what the Democrats have been doing the past 2 years. I have a little list of what investigations they're going after first, which is kind of cool. So we can kind of get into that and figure out what's going on. I did a little bit of research.
I saw the list of things that they were going to try and tackle, and like honestly, it all sounds positive. It all sounds like it's good things I could get behind for sure. But like, I don't think that, just to kind of like sum it all up, Kevin McCarthy, I don't think he's the guy who represents like the values the best for us. Like, or for Americans in general. This doesn't even have to be a conservative topic. It can just literally be like, does he have American values at like, like in his interests?
I don't either, but I have kind of an opinion on that as well.
Okay.
But with that, we are also going to speak about whatever kind of pops up as well in the comments. Movie says, I nominate Eric Swalwell's Chinese spy, boo, for speaker. Yeah, Fang would would do great. I mean, you know, there's already plenty of commies there anyways. So yeah, we're gonna do that. Whatever else pops up in the comments. And if there's anything specific you'd like us to talk about, MMA Nut, whenever you join, we're not talking about Liver King. Leave a comment. We can get into that later. But with that, here's the intro, guys.
Who else in the level crowd say yeah?
Look at that big, juicy booty.
Hot like a tamale.
Be offended.
Do you love black people?
Do you grow?
You know the thing.
Here next.
Don't be rude. You ain't black.
Schlong COVID.
You're going to have a flame coming out of your butthole.
Heartfelt. A man and a woman.
Okay, see, that time it ended fine.
Okay.
It seemed like when I click it, it like doesn't go. So I don't know. I think that's on my end. I don't know what's going on.
It must be, because for over here, I'm seeing the whole thing pretty normal. I'm not having any issues, but
Wow. Okay.
it's okay.
So-
it's all right.
Hey, you know what? I'm cranky already. It's all good. I live my life cranky. I'm just, you know, used to it. But anyways, and I had to go to fucking Costco today and
You
return.
poor thing.
I had to go return raw chicken because there was a hole in the bag, and we didn't realize that until we got home. And like we like put it in the fridge to like, you know, defrost, you know, make sure
Yeah.
it was out that we were gonna make it, and then picked it up, and there was just fucking chicken juice everywhere.
Yeah, but you know what's even worse than that was I remember the one time we got a big thing of beef, and there must have been a hole in the bag, and like it must have been such a small, like a pin drop, or a pinhole size hole, because when we opened it up finally to go try and like, you know, cut it up and cook it, and it just reeked like fucking rotten eggs. I'm like, that's disgusting. What is that? And then she's like, oh, that's the beef. I'm like, don't eat that. That is gross. And like, and
So it was like warm farts.
yeah, oh, it was disgusting. So then like I was like, when did you get this? I'm like, I just got it today. I'm like, you know, you got to take that back. You got to call like the grocery store or some shit like that, because this is disgusting. And like something like, there had to been like a pin size hole that like bacteria grew inside there, and like it just reeked like fucking old farts. So just like I told them, like, return it or just like swap it out for another one. And you know, the grocery store was good about it. They're like, oh yeah, no problem. I guess this happens all the time.
Oh yeah, they were fine with it. We brought in the receipt. It was no big deal. It's just, you know, just dealing with Costco people. Like, I know we are Costco people, so I guess you could put us into that thing, but I don't know. It's annoying. I think just people in general. I'm such a happy person. But yeah, so I am now just looking at our thumbnail and realizing that I fucked up on something. Yay! I love catching that later.
Well, what was it?
It's nothing big. It's like the way that I have the lines separating like different pictures or different subjects. Like instead of having the line go underneath another line to where it like hides it, it's like on top of it, so it just looks kind of shitty. But that's just me, because I'm a perfectionist. But everything else looks fine. But anyways, and just want to let you guys know, whoever's watching on Rumble, thank you very much. We will get to your comments as soon as I can see them. I have the little live chat window up, so I can kind of check on those, and we can get going on that. But anyways, so let's get
I hope to one day that we'll be able to just completely transfer over to Rumble too, because like that would be great, like to kind of get away from like the hoops we got to jump through with YouTube. Because I mean, like so far like, we get a lot more views come Twitter and Rumble than I'm gonna say Rubble than we do on Twitter.
Sorry, Trevor. Would it be like just thumbnail, just un thumbnail?
That's all I can do.
But yeah, so what I would love is if StreamYard would be able to integrate Rumble's live streaming capabilities into StreamYard, so that we could bring up all the comments like this from Rumble too. So the only place we're able to do that right now is through YouTube. So and to all you watching on Twitter, thank you guys very much. If you guys want to be a part of the conversation and have your comments read, go on Rumble or go on YouTube and throw them in there. But yeah, let's So what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the new agenda that's happening with the
Well, I think we should probably first, talk about Kevin McCarthy, and then we can get into the agenda, which was just part of his like opening speech. Where he mentioned everything that they were going to go after, especially those IRS agents and everything. Which I was glad to see that was brought up again.
Yeah, exactly. So I have the one for the agenda. Let me bring up. I'm on New York Post right now. Let me just type in Kevin McCarthy and see. Let me see. I'm trying to maybe bring something up for maybe in the last couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to kind of talk a little bit while I'm looking this up,
what I can say is we saw a lot of footage over the past week at least, but like in the past few days for sure we saw a lot of footage of the hostility and like the high tension and the stress that was going on in the House due to all these votes. And I think we talked about a little bit of this last time where there hasn't been this many votes for the House Speaker since essentially the Civil War. What led up to the Civil War. And these are definitely some trying times for us. We talked about this a little bit in the past, where the national divorce is a reoccurring theme that keeps on coming up. Like secession has been a topic for a bunch of states, for the past maybe 6 years, but I would say now it's more prevalent than ever that it's very possible that we're looking at something where we're going to see some states secede, or it's we can't get anything accomplished. There's no bipartisanship. It's just kind of either we talk about tribalism and whatnot, but I don't know. At this point, I would rather just see people in favor of American values, and whatever that might look like. To me, it seems more like conservatism. When it comes to American values, because of upbringing, background. Same thing with you. It's kind of like where we come from. But I think most people agree that human values, are American values, and making sure that we have our freedoms of speech, being able to right to carry and things like that. Some people might disagree with the right to carry, but they obviously haven't been in any kind of situations where something like that could have changed the outcome. So I don't know. There's a lot that goes into that, but I think American values are what's being neglected right now.
Yeah, my whole thing on it is I do believe that there is the ability for bipartisanship is tricky right now because there are so many differing opinions on each side, and I think that the only bipartisanship are by the uniparty that are straight down the middle, that are basically Democratic Republicans or Republican Democrats. Yep. So it's a little tricky, but I think that if more stuff like the Twitter files, if more stuff like all the corruption that has come out and is put into the forefront, and more people are made aware of it, because there's probably 80% of the country that doesn't pay attention to politics and doesn't really know a lot about it. And I mean, obviously you see from how many of these videos that they go down on the street and they ask them basic questions and they can't even answer what state, or what's the capital of the United States, or name 3 countries, or whatever. So they don't even really know, because they're just kind of morons. But I think that if more stuff like the Twitter files, because people use Twitter so much, so I think that's more prevalent, all the stuff that's going on and what is entailed in the Twitter files. There's so much corruption that I'm sure a lot of people are made aware of it and kind of blindsided by it, and they realize, oh, this is going on. So I think once a lot of stuff, more stuff like that comes out, and I think with the agenda that the Republicans have kind of laid out, and that again, it's just just promises, just like every politician is. It's just promises until we see what actually happens. So, but if stuff like that does go on, then I think that there is a better there's a better chance to kind of drain as much of the swamp as we can. And then the ability for people to, instead of it being screw you for your opinions. It's like, okay, you have your opinions, but I can see where you're coming from, kind of thing, to where it's easier to have, if the media is called out a lot for, for their propagandist, lies and stuff like that, just, like immediately coming out with the Commordio Cordis with the Damar Hamlin stuff, instead of actually having the conversation of what it could be, and and actually having discussion, instead of, oh, this is the mainstream narrative, this is exactly what it is. I think if there's more conversation and more discussion and more debate, like what happened in the House, and yes, was it chaotic? Yes. Was it a little annoying? Was it, going down this avenue where it's like, we don't know what's going on? Yes, but it is necessary to have that discussion, have that debate. And I just don't think that kind of debate is prevalent in the country right now. It's more gotchas. And I think that if we are able to go down that hole, or down that avenue, down that hole, then I think it'll be a lot easier, to get it in, spread them butt cheeks.
So, yeah, I think you made a lot of solid points in there. There's one.
And then I edited it with open them butt cheeks.
Yeah, but there's one assumption that you made in that, which kind of makes the whole house of cards fall for you, and that's the fact that, like, when you talk about like people putting any kind of value to the Twitter files, and when it requires people to actually give a shit and actually get those Twitter files reported on, because the problem that we were encountering and still kind of encountering is that, like, you would have all these big bombshell news stories coming out through the Twitter files, and they would get basically ignored because mainstream media wasn't covering it. So like they didn't cover any of the news when it came to the January 6th Twitter files. They didn't cover any of the stuff about like Trump getting banned from like Twitter and what led up to that. They didn't talk about any of like the COVID type, like propaganda that was going on behind the scenes on Twitter and whatnot. So there's a lot of assumption that goes into that. Like for people who don't pay attention to politics, it's like, oh, now all of a sudden they're going to give a shit about this, but that requires them to like pay attention to what's happening on that platform.
That's why I was using that as an example, because there's so much stuff going on that is, very, the minutia of politics and like little certain things and whatever. But since Twitter is such a huge platform and such a big part of everyday discussion for, most people, it's on the news or this and that, is they see the Twitter files and like, oh, what are the Twitter files? And they go in and they kind of look at it. So I think having that moniker on it or having that attached to it might be a lot easier for people to grasp onto, or at least look into, or at least see it. And I also think, and I also do think that there is something to be said too of that first person that stands up. And I think Elon Musk, whether you like him or not, he is one of the first people in a while that has stood up for freedom of speech and taking steps in trying to do that. Again, he's not perfect, just like any other human. I know everyone thinks he's a fucking robot, but he's a human. And so I think that even with him not being perfect, him taking that stand and, maybe seeing how people respond to it. And if there is a good response, then maybe someone else will step up behind him and kind of take that same avenue. So hopefully that's what I'm hoping for, that someone sees his example and says, oh, okay, well, obviously there's some good reception off this, so I'm going to do the same thing too. Or speak out.
There's only a couple of memes of Elon Musk being a robot. Most of them are all about Zuckerberg being a robot. Because
exactly. But all those. Robot. Well, yeah, no, he's an alien. There's no, I mean his eyes.
I think aliens have more emotion than that.
No, his eyes blink this way. He's he's just from
reptilian overlord.
Yeah, exactly. No,
his eyes blinked. It's like, you mean like this? Like, no, like his second eylids. Like Men in Black.
They blink sideways. No, I just think that there has to be an example for someone, and not everyone has a bunch of courage until one person does, and then a lot of people follow suit. So I think that is potentially that can happen. Again, it's all conjecture, it's all opining on what could happen, but with a lot of stuff being said about and I've said it a bunch of times, it's a pendulum. Everything swings back back and forth. So, I mean, with a lot of the stuff going on in the House and with people actually seeing it, because in the past 2 years, C-SPAN really hasn't aired a lot of House votes and a lot of that stuff because there's been a lot of by proxy votes or, not in person, voting because of, the COVID stuff. So it's understandable that, a lot of people have either forgotten, or anyone that is new to watching the politics and new to getting into all that stuff, they haven't, been privy to it because it's been, kind of different.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that if what's going on with Kevin McCarthy in the House and everything, I think, if he's setting up rules and doing different things, then, it could bode well, is all I'm saying. So,
yeah, and that's the thing where, but even before, like when we were talking about this, like we were saying, like, that we weren't big fans of Kevin McCarthy for the fact that, like, whether his values were in favor of Americans or whatever, like we know that he's already voted in favor of Ukraine and like all the funding that's gone over there and some of this. So like that's a big worry for most people, I think, that are like more conservative than anything, but it should be a worry for most Americans because that's where our tax dollars are essentially going now. It's not even going back into the
libertarians, conservatives and libertarians.
Yeah, I just libertarians in general fall under like conservative values. So I'm just kind of I'm just kind of like using that as an umbrella term for the most part. But like my biggest concern was like, is this guy going to fall in line and represent like American values, or is he going to be like another Pelosi but with an R next to his name? And that was kind of like a concern. But like, there was other times where I'm like, I don't know if I even really give a shit at this point, because I mean, like, yes, it's an important role, but like, all right, if we get a Republican in the seat, the party should sway the vote, but like, we'll I don't know. It was a tough one for me to kind of like, come to terms with like how I felt about it, if I even had like a strong opinion about it necessarily. And at this point, like hearing what the different topics were that they planned on covering or tackling essentially in these different bills, the first one being with the IRS agents, I was like, oh shit, okay, yeah, no, I can get behind these. I hope it all actually happens.
And now, and with that, like I had like about a 2-hour long conversation with my mom about it, and I had a couple conversations with people about the whole situation, and to me it's when it comes to my mom, I showed her Alex Jones and now every conspiracy theory possible she talks about. So not all of that 2 hours was talking about the House Speaker. It was interesting topics, but no, for the most part, we were talking about it. And, I was saying, ultimately, even though I do not like McCarthy, because of his rhino potentiality.
Yes.
I also would much rather, every day and twice on fucking Sunday, would rather have him than Hakeem Jeffries. Period.
Yes.
No matter what. So with that as a baseline, I think that, like I've said a couple times, in this live stream, I think that the discussion and the debate and all the chaos or dissension, whatever Dan Crenshaw wants to, call it, or the terrorism that he wants to call it, I think all of that is, I don't think terrorism is positive, but, just using his words. I think it's positive because it not only has the discussion, has the debate, and it's basically what the democracy and the constitutional republic that we do have. It's what it represents it in a great way. It also shows Kevin McCarthy that, hey, we're not just going to lay down in front of you and just let you do whatever you want to do. We're going to push back. And does that mean that we're going to win out every time? No, but our voices are going to be heard, and you're going to know exactly what we want. And I think that is why a lot of the things that have happened with the concessions and with this agenda that's come out, I think a lot of that is because there was pushback, and like that was because Chip Roy and Byron Donalds and and Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and all these that were in those concessions and in those talks. I think they were like, this is what we want if we're going to vote for you or even vote present.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, that's a big point right there that you brought up, and like the fact that they wanted to make sure that their voice was going to be heard, and that's what made me like, I was like, hey, you know what? I was always kind of like back and forth about Matt Gaetz and whatnot. Like I liked him, but like I wasn't like this guy's awesome or nothing like that. I wasn't like completely sold 100%. And like anymore, I'm like, that guy's on point. Like he stood his ground, and like he got essentially that agenda pushed through for like what the conservatives want to get accomplished. I love that. I think that was a great stance.
I think he's pretty based, man. Like,
yeah, no, I'm sold. I'm sold on him for sure.
Not even just this. Like before this, a lot of the stuff that Matt Gaetz said was just like is common sense, which is crazy to think that that's based now. But it's like no one has common sense anymore. But what he was saying was just like, yeah. And when he points stuff out in the House and ask questions, and when they would have their inquiries against Fauci or inquiries against this or that, whatever, he would ask questions and put them to task on it,
Yeah.
So,
now, when you're saying, when we were talking about Matt Gaetz before, but like when it comes to like Lauren Boebert, like she's kind of like
a little kooky.
Yeah, what's weird about that is like, at first, like she seemed like a great pick for a while, and like then she started just being like more boisterous in like the House, like where I noticed like where she would constantly, whenever there was like a speech from like Biden or something like that in the House, all of a sudden next thing she's like yelling something from like the back of the room, and it's like, I get it, you want to like get your name out there. It's a little bit of like PR stunts. I feel like some of the stuff that she's done for sure, kind of almost like what Marjorie Taylor Greene was doing before. She kind of like started laying low. She MTG started laying low when she was going through the divorce and whatnot. But like, right now, like this is like Boebert's time, and she's kind of like, oh well, I'm gonna be in every single shot next to Matt Gaetz, like just like every single, because like Matt Gaetz has been the kind of the ringleader, I'm gonna say, kind of like pushing this agenda to make this happen, and she's always right there. Now she's been there with him, like also voting like present or whatever, like pushing back against McCarthy, which I can appreciate, but like I don't know, like there's something about her I'm just not, I don't know, I'm sketched out.
What I will say on that is yes, most every picture that has been put in any article or anything is talking about Lauren Boebert. Yes, they have used the one or two pictures that have her sitting right next to Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz was walking around that, like, because again, I was a nerd.
No, I'm just mean like even the ones with Matt Gaetz, like the ones that are focused on Matt Gaetz, it's like you see her like right there, like behind him, almost kind of like to his
that's what
wing.
I'm saying. Like,
okay,
those pictures that were used was like a Getty's image version of what happened in the House, because Matt Gaetz was moving around and he went onto the Democrat side of the House and was talking with people, and he went and he was sitting down in the front and then sitting in the back and whatever. And so Lauren Boebert kind of stayed in the same row, same area, and then I think it was towards the last maybe like 4 or 5 votes where Matt Gaetz was kind of sitting next to her, because they were kind of singled out in this, where Byron Donalds and Jim and Chip Roy and a lot of these people were putting their votes towards McCarthy. And when they said their vote initially, they said, because of concessions and because of compromise and because of discussions or negotiations, I'm voting for Kevin McCarthy. So once that happened, then you start to see the group of dissenters or terrorists, whatever, that it kind of gets smaller. You know what I mean? So I think they were just sticking together. Yeah, exactly. The Dementors. They were the worst part of prison. Prison Mike. You got a good life. You got a good life. But no, I can see what you mean. But I will say Lauren Boebert stood up to Sean Hannity with that, which I think was absolutely amazing. I used to like Hannity. I thought Hannity was great for a good couple of years. I think the past maybe 2 or 3 years, it seems like he has gone off the deep end.
Yeah, I was surprised he didn't understand. I was surprised Hannity did not understand what she was trying to accomplish or what she was saying when it's like he doesn't have the votes. So it's like, yeah, you can be short a few votes, and that just means you don't have the votes, versus like they could put up a different or better candidate, in which case then they could get everybody else behind it. So if 20 people were not voting for McCarthy at the time, then that everybody else will follow suit if they put somebody else up there that they can get the other 20 behind. So I mean, like, what all she's trying to say was that he didn't have enough votes, not that he didn't have more votes. Like, he had like 200 something votes at the time, but there's still 20 some odd Republicans that were not voting in favor of McCarthy.
Yeah, it was 200. He had it was 212 for Jeffries, 201 for McCarthy, and 20 that were either for Jim Jordan or Byron Donalds or other or present. Yeah. And that was for
the one that went to Donald Trump too.
That was Gaetz.
Yeah, I know.
That was Gaetz. I know. I'm sorry, dude. And you know what's great? He said that a year ago. He said he was going to do that. He said in like a rally or whatever. It was I think it was a rally in MTG state, and he was saying the best president of my lifetime is Donald Trump. The best person in Congress is MTG, and and I will vote for Donald Trump if he comes up, and if we win the House, if you help us win the House so we can fire Nancy Pelosi, I will nominate Donald John Trump for Speaker of the House. And right after that, Trump goes up, well, that was interesting. It was great. It was one of the only times I've ever seen Trump kind of thrown off. Like, he didn't have like a funny little quip. He just was that was interesting. That's great. It was great. All right. So since we're not, we don't have a lot of time, let's get into the agenda.
Yeah.
Real quick, so we can lay this out. Let me share the screen. Alrighty. Boom. Okay, let's do this real quick. All right. So says with the House Republicans lay out packed agenda for battling Biden admin. With a prolonged fight over the post of House of Speaker consigned to the history books, Republicans in the chamber are planning an ambitious agenda of investigation and legislation covering a range of issues, from the migrant crisis and the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan to Hunter Biden's overseas business interests and the origin of the COOF pandemic. We're still on YouTube, so what's up? If you're like everybody else, we hear whether you can afford it, whether you feel safe, the challenge of your children getting left behind, or a government that's run amok, who has a plan to change that course? We do, Kevin McCarthy says. I mean, hey, if he's talking like that, I'm liking where he's going. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, I'll just be blatant with that. Who was elected speaker? He was elected speaker Saturday morning. He said in September, as he laid out the House GOP's plans in what he dubbed the Commitment to America, a clear echo of former House Speaker Newt Gingrich's contract with America from the 1994 midterms. So here is a look at what Republicans plan to do in the next 2 years. And this is what you were talking about, the IRS agents. He said the very first piece of legislation Republicans hope to vote on later Monday would roll back $72 billion in new funding for the IRS. Why are we giving them $72 billion?
As long as they don't try and take that money and send it overseas. As long as that money just goes back into like Americans' pockets, or it goes to infrastructure or some type of like creating new jobs, the border, anything like that. As long as it's doing something beneficial to the nation and does not go to Ukraine.
Exactly. Let me say $72 billion in new funding for the IRS contained in the so-called Inflation Reduction Act passed last year, which it did not reduce inflation at all. The bill would specify, okay, I'm sorry, but that's just absolutely retarded. How are you going to reduce inflation by spending $72 billion more dollars?
Just print more money. Just print more money. That's all it is. That's the solution to everything right now. Has been to print more money. Like you were just at Costco's. You were just at Costco.
Are you Mexican? You
were just at that Costco's, man. And then like
the live streaming on the YouTubes, man.
How much are the huevos? Because everyone's
is actually but yes.
Yeah, I'm saying the huevos because right now the eggs are like dumb expensive. Everyone's going on about like how like eggs have like doubled, tripled in price in some places.
It's silly. It's absolutely silly. But the bill would specify that the IRS only spend new money on customer service and IT improvements, completely down because the IT for the IRS is god awful. Rather than hiring 87,000 IRS agents, armed IRS agents, auditors, and other staff, whom Republicans say will target low and middle class Americans rather than wealthy individuals and corporations. Absolutely true.
Like we may end up going a little long today because like if I can get into that topic of like the being armed. Like the whole armed IRS agents thing, there's so much to unpack in that. It's like, why do they need to be armed? Why are they constantly trying to unarm us as American citizens? You know, and then like there's an entire and then there's like an entire like post I saw like on Instagram that I pulled up. I saved that one as well, where they're going on about how we need to eradicate constitutional carry and this, and we need to we need to have more permitted states. I'm like, no, you understand that like all that's doing is allowing criminals to have guns over like legal like gun owners. That the whole thing, like I don't know, like honestly, like there's so much to unpack and all that. But my biggest issue is the fact
on Wednesday.
Yeah,
let's
that sounds
fully
great.
unpack that on Wednesday.
Because so that's a teaser, everybody. I'm going to go off about my 2A rights.
No, and that's fine because I mean, you know, even though there is a bunch of news and there's so many stories to pick from, it is tricky to pick what you want to talk about in an hour or 2 hours. So
I know,
exactly. So it's hard to condense it, especially since we only got an hour. So let's earmark that because that's the new word that everyone's saying in the media for everything. Let's earmark that. Is it
like speciesist to say dog ear?
Probably, you bigot. But yeah, so just dog earmark that or cat earmark, whatever.
Yeah.
For Wednesday. And then we can kind of deep dive into there, and then it, saves me from having to send you a text message of, hey,
topics.
Yeah,
Bueller.
Yeah, exactly.
Bueller.
Yeah, Bueller. So, let me see. So, yeah, so there were the IRS agents, Hunter Biden, which following the post expose in October 2020 about the first son's overseas business dealings, Republicans have been eager to investigate whether President Biden was involved or benefited from the relationships. From these relationships. Hunter Biden is already facing federal probes. He probably likes that though. And Comer, he's like, as long as I get a little crack out of it. Let me weigh it first though. You got any Parmesan cheese? Who will head up the House's examination, has said he believes the entire Biden family was involved, constituting a national security threat. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
If Hunter Biden, who we have had, there have been plenty of reports come out that the big guy, otherwise known as Joe Biden, and Hunter have a bank account that are connected and linked, which would be corruption. That you know what I mean? That would be.
There's a lot of quid pro quo happening. There's definitely extortion and different types of things that were happening even before Joe Biden even was president. When he was vice president, he was basically extorting the Ukraine when it came to like his son and whatnot. So there was a lot of other things that were going on beforehand as well. But like now it's a matter of like the business dealings and the ties where like you have Hunter with his business connections with the Ukraine energy and whatnot, and then 10% is going back to Joe Biden, which then he's sending money to Ukraine. It's a whole Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, I mean, go figure. There's a the politicians are corrupt.
Hey, weird to think that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, and then on the COOF, House panels plan to interview U.S. medical officials, including former White House medical advisor Anthony Fauci. I don't know why they didn't put the science. Yeah, exactly. They didn't put the science, or just put ears, the ear emoji.
I am the science.
Yeah, exactly. I hope they drag him in by his big old troll ears. Under oath about whether they believe the COOF was man-made and whether it leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China, during taxpayer-funded gain-of-function experiments. The investigation. Hey, I'm just telling you right now, YouTube, I am reading an article. I'm not giving my opinions on that. We will see what happens.
Yeah, but talk about just like the fact that like, this is like so redundant, beaten to death. They've kicked this dead horse so many times, and we've already kind of seen a lot of this stuff, like, it already proven.
Yeah, exactly. But it hasn't been talked about in government because no one wants to talk about it. The investigations will also focus on how trillions of dollars in COOF relief aid was spent and how school closures pushed by government officials and teachers unions affected students. So I think that all of that surrounding that is a good investigation to start up. I am completely fine with that. So off to a good start completely. Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio, incoming chair of the House Judiciary Committee, has already started the process of putting Google, Apple, Meta, Twitter, and other mammoth tech companies on notice about whether they colluded with the Biden administration to censor conservative users and whether they suppressed information, including about Hunter Biden and the COOF, from their platforms. Quote, we have a duty to get into these agencies and look at how they have been weaponized to go against the very people that are supposed to represent, how they have infringed on First Amendment liberties of the American people, and we're going to do that. The Ohio Republicans said on Fox News Sunday over the weekend. I like Jim Jordan. I thought that he would be an amazing Speaker of the House, but if you don't want it, you don't want it. And maybe having him on committees like this, and heading up that stuff, then it's just like we've been talking about with the Till Death Podcast Network. You put people where their best their strengths are.
Sure, absolutely, and I think exactly. So if this is something that he's more passionate about, then he should absolutely be heading that committee. Then
exactly. So that'd be like putting me for marketing and you for the production in the background. Not saying that either of us couldn't do that. That sounded like shade, but I didn't. It was shade to both of us. Like it not.
Oh no, I totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, like if I was trying to do any kind of like graphic design work, it would look pretty basic, or it would look like a CAD drawing.
Yeah. So okay, I just plugged because it's saying that my internet is a little slow, so I just plugged in there we go. Cool. Sorry, I just plugged in my Ethernet because I have the hard line.
Oh, for some reason, you're looking fine here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for some reason the Ethernet was being weird for a minute, so I unplugged it and just been using Wi-Fi, and it gave me a little thing on the screen saying, "Oh, it's okay, but you could plug it in." So I just tried it.
It could be better.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know if I was gonna lose you. I was like, "Oh, it got interrupted." Fucking whatever. But yeah, it's just overstating.
So Afghanistan.
Okay, so, yes, the Afghanistan stands. Incoming House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer from Kentucky has already sent letters to the Biden administration and several government agencies ordering them to preserve records and other documents on the August 2021 pullout. Sorry. You said pull out. Of particular interest is how the Taliban were able to quickly overrun the country. The planning behind the evacuations from Hamid Karzai International Airport, I'm going to assume that was horrible, outside Kabul, and the failure to ensure that all Afghan refugees were relocated before the pullout. You did it again.
They didn't use any protection, so they had to make sure that they were doing a quick pull out.
What was it? Was it one pull out of one hole and another pull out of another hole? Or is that what it was?
Oh, I don't know how many people are actually involved in this, but like, oh, that sounds like you're talking about a devil's three-way, which is not acceptable. Not acceptable.
Someone was docked. No, I think that it would be awesome to investigate that and also bring up the plan that was actually put in place, that Trump put in place.
But again, it's like, what all needs to really be investigated about this? We saw what happened. All you really need to do is look at the plan that was set in place and then how much it was deviated from. And then that tells you everything that they did wrong.
The reason why it needs to be investigated is because of who is advising Biden, who is the one who is doing that. And if they are like, if it's all intertwined and all interlinked, just like with the Twitter files with James, with Baker, he was FBI and then he was Twitter, and how much stuff was being censored from FBI. And you know what I mean?
I'm just saying what I'm saying is I'm not saying that it shouldn't be looked. I'm saying it's not that it shouldn't be looked into. It should absolutely be looked into. But I'm saying like a full-on investigation. If we're talking about like one of those like types of kangaroo courts, what we just saw with like the Jan 6 committee with that type of investigation, it's a joke. It's a complete joke and a complete waste of everyone's time.
You're also thinking that the January 6th investigation was anything but just a sham when they didn't have actual people being questioned. Like, if they're actually going to have an investigation and have people be questioned and it be put on record, then I am completely for it. I will watch every minute of that. Because
that's their quality of investigation right now. That's their version of like, this is how we're going to investigate things. So it's like, to me, if there's going to be like, yeah, well, we can only hope that that's just their interpretation of investigation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're thinking that is the standard for what is going to be the conservatives.
Well, we hope that it's not, but it worries
exactly.
me.
But we're not going to know until it happens. You know what I mean? So, you know, obviously, if you're going off the standard of what the left is doing, then you're going off the standard of a mental patient that should be in a straitjacket. So I'm going to go with, you know, at least I will go with hope. At least hope, not that it won't be stupid. You know what I mean?
Sure. I just remember distinctly watching some of the Jan 6 the committee, like one of the court hearings, and it was like late at night. I'm watching it, and it was that they always show the same clip. It's always the one where it's Trump there at the Capitol, and he's saying like, we're gonna go down to the Capitol building, and we're gonna march down Pennsylvania Avenue, and they cut it off like immediately, like right there, like they just like fade it out. Versus like, and they leave out the part about peacefully protesting. They always leave that part out.
Again, and I know what you're saying, but you're still having your baseline be a Democrat, leftist.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that was like one of the things that just never could leave my brain. That like that. Well, like, this is their idea of investigation. Blah.
Exactly. That's not the House's idea. That is the leftist Pelosi, Liz Cheney run style of investigating. You know what I mean? Which she's not a Republican at all. And what I do have to say is, if they're doing this in the order that this is laid out, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the 5th investigation that's gone on. So they're going to be in their stride.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So maybe the IRS agents one is going to be a little shaky because, you know, they're just getting used to their investigation style. And then, you know, maybe the Hunter Biden one's going to be, which I think is a main one. They should, you know, save that for, you know, towards the end. But it's going to get better. I think that's the way I'm thinking about it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I would just go off of importance, you know, like of how important it is to try and get a resolution. So, for example, like the Hunter Biden one, I think that's well, first off, yeah, the IRS one probably first, because of the fact is that, like, you know, April's going to be around the corner, like real fast, you know. So like
let's go through the rest of these, and then we can kind of go over what the importance
real fast. I'm just saying like the importance of that one, and then I would say definitely the Hunter Biden one next, because that one ties to Joe Biden, who's currently in office. That's all I'm going to say about that one.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think all of these need to happen in the next 2 years, and I think that's what they're planning on, because there's no telling that Kevin McCarthy is going to be the House Speaker. The Republicans are even going to be in the majority after 2024, because however that vote goes. So, okay, so we did the Afghanistan one. FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. Republicans plan to investigate the FBI's rationale for raiding former President Donald Trump's Florida estate in August 2022 in search of classified documents he kept there after leaving the White House. I think that would be one of the first ones. So maybe like that one, and then the IRS agents, and then something else, because it starts it off again. It starts that wheel rolling of how their investigation style and how it's going to go. So I think January 6th, 2021.
I still think time frame wise, that would be smart to address the IRS agents one first.
Well, yeah, or like one of the first couple or whatever. Maybe start on those, because I think Hunter Biden, I think the COVID, I think the Jan 6 stuff. I think that is like a big deal. So I think those should be what they have their those are like their encores. You know what I mean? Those should be like the last their hits. So for January 6th, otherwise known as 9/11/2 Electric Boogaloo, McCarthy said House Republicans want to look into the work of the House Select Committee examining the 76-year-old Trump's role in the Capitol riot, and it wasn't a riot, and scrutinize the facts behind the panel's conclusions. Republicans will also delve into why security was so lax when a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about in that, which we won't on YouTube.
Yeah, not here, but we can.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, but in that paragraph, what they're saying is they're going to look into and scrutinize that panel or that investigation. So I think that's good. So what you were talking about. So I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, it has to be like checked on the other side, because like all we saw was just basically a kangaroo court when it came to the January 6th committee before, where it was all just everyone having the exact same opinion. Do we all agree? Yeah, of course we all agree. And then they all that was the end of it. So they already had their conclusion, and they were just finding the evidence that matches their conclusion. That's all that's what they were doing. Yeah.
So I think it will be, and then, the last one, federal spending. Republicans will look at slicing the budgets of several federal agencies to reduce the country's $32 trillion debt. That's just a ridiculous number, including putting the Defense Department on the chopping block. Good. If none of these agencies any of these agencies that have, been using politics and as their masthead, basically, and using that before actually investigating what should be investigated, then fuck them. Sorry. I have no sympathy for anything that happens to those agents. If you were doing, because that's going against, like, instead of investigating what needs to be investigated, not based on a political party or based on your political leanings, then that's not American to me. Yeah,
no, again, bringing up what I was talking about before, we need to start putting American values first, and they over top of just party values.
And what I will say about all this is that even though I do think Kevin McCarthy is a rhino, and I don't trust him farther than I can throw him, I will say, with what is laid out right here, and the fact that he is a Republican and he's not a Democrat, I will give him the benefit of that doubt. And if he has people like Gaetz and Boebert and Jordan and all these people on that side pushing their agendas and trying to have get in his ear about what needs to be said and the conservative ideals that need to be adhered to, I have hope that it will be better.
I agree. I think with some of the names that were mentioned that are going to be heading some of these investigations, It looks like it's going to be a very positive, outcome for actually getting to a real resolution when it comes to this stuff. Yeah.
So with that, I think that I think there's a lot of promise for what we can see in the next couple of years. And if it's going to be the type of stuff that has happened in the past couple of days, where it's, debate and it's discussion and it's, I'm not just going to lay down and let you do whatever you want. No, we're going to debate it, and we're going to decide what is the best for the American people. And then we're going to make that decision. Awesome.
So I got a one of those bad lip reading ones that we could use for a funny to kind of wrap up this whole thing that we were just been talking about with Kevin McCarthy and all that.
Does it have anything to do with the fight?
Yeah.
Because that's what I was gonna just go into. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's do that.
All right, we can do this. I thought we were wrapping up towards the end here, but here we can do this guy, and here we go.
Son, what does a gopher build? Can you say it? Well, who knows? A really rich doctor said you were a bummer. And I think you don't know algebra. No, we're in science, bud. The science of what? Is that a tiger? One of your friends promised me I could flick you in your face. Absolutely, you may not do that.
Hit him in his cringy smirk, for real.
Say any cereal name. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like people in the 12th century. Why'd he say it like that? You're a formulated pickle popper.
He's a storm cloud.
I don't like you, dude. And there's a tiger. That's it. You two guys sent the tiger.
No, not me.
What tiger? That is reprehensible.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Brad,
I'm a horrible person.
Brad, I'll report you to Nadine. I just want your leg bones to be okay. I brought the tiger. Really, you got somebody on the organ now? Hey man, you're gonna pay for dinner. You're gonna pay.
So good. Did you bring a tiger? So good.
I brought the tiger.
Yeah, exactly. The eye of the tiger. No, okay. First and foremost, the fact that Mike Rogers got pulled away by his mouth.
I know.
It's just gold. Because I was watching it live and I was like, oh shit, it's getting spicy. World Star.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, this is like old rich white dude world star hip hop.
Exactly. It's not gonna be at Waffle House. It's at Applebee's. No, dude, I thought it was great. He evidently had to be restrained from going after Gaetz after the present vote, because that's when Gaetz started voting present.
Because they're just exhausted at this point. They're so exhausted of all these votes. Like, please, God, just fucking vote for him.
Well, no, it's because they just want it to go through instead of actually take the time to figure out what we're voting for. And
that's what I'm saying. There's like, why won't you just vote for him? Like that, they're getting exhausted. It's frustration and annoyance.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, be frustrated, be annoyed, but you don't got to be a cock about it. Like,
be offended.
Wait for it. Wait.
Be offended.
There it
See?
is.
There we go. Matt Gaetz. Matt based. But yeah, so I thought that was absolutely hilarious. He evidently he apologized to him. Let's see. He apologized to him. Well, let's see. There were tweets. So Matt Gaetz said, Mike Rogers and I have a 6-year productive working relationship. We're going to work together wonderfully going forward. I don't think there should be any punishment or reprisal just because he had an animated moment. He has my forgiveness. Mike Rogers' response was, Matt Gaetz and I have a long and productive working relationship that I am sure will continue. I regret that I briefly lost my temper on the House floor Friday evening and appreciate Matt's kind understanding. So, hey, you know what? No one's perfect. Shit happens.
Yeah, they're all
I
buds.
think that was exactly like, again, frustration, tempers flared, and then, this Dingleberry gets the thing.
Hey, you know what?
I would
give me my hammer.
Yeah, I would much rather him having the gavel than, you know, the drunk grandma of decency.
That's true.
Having it. So I'm fine with that. So we did the agenda. Let's see. Oh yeah.
There it
Good
is.
good old Eye Patch McCain. So Eye Patch McCain, otherwise known as Dan Crenshaw, who I am now calling Kyle Crenshaw, caught in shocking scandal. Bloody hand in the house. Did he punch a wall or someone's face?
Oh, well, first off, he didn't hit anybody in the face. That's
I mean, yeah, because that would have been reported on.
And also,
sure.
To me, when I see that, I don't know, like what sticks out to you when you look at that hand? Go up a little bit. What sticks out to you? Because I see it.
Okay, what sticks out to me is the fact that this right here looks like in Fight Club when they put acid on Edward Norton's hand and it had that weird, creepy, like little bumpy thing. Okay, what did you notice? Because I know that's not what you're talking about.
He's incorrectly punching for someone who was in the military. I'd be surprised that he doesn't know how to actually like hit with his fist. Like, you know, like, because like you should honestly, like, it should be the front two knuckles, like your first and second digits, or your first and second knuckles are the ones that are actually have the like the actual like busted up knuckles section of it too. Like if you're hitting like the side of your hand, you're like kind of like scuffing it. You're not punch. It's like if you're hitting like a heavy bag, for example, when you're done, like your first and second knuckles are the ones that are basically red or torn up a little bit, sometimes bloody. If you're hitting with your third and fourth knuckles over here, you're gonna end up getting a boxer's fracture, which means you don't know how to hit and you don't know how to line up your punch. And to me, when I saw that, I was like, look at that pinky knuckle is just like destroyed. So either he got it hung up on like a stud in a wall, you know, or something like that, where it's he wasn't planning on it.
Here, line up a punch like this.
Hey, how many years has he been one-eyed? He should be able to figure this shit out by now. Especially, you know, come on, line up a punch.
I'm just saying.
And also, you can change your dominant eye. Like if he's lost his right eye, so therefore his dominant eye has to be his left. He's only got one eye, but like, you know, like you only use one eye at a time. You know, typically. So like either way, it's like, you know, if that's how you're lining up your punches, then that's fine, but you're not going to miss the target. Your depth perception could be off with just one eye, but that's pretty much it. There was a joke about that, or was it like Mad TV skit or something with a guy who had no depth perception, or maybe it was SNL, like, or the good years of SNL. Do you know what I'm talking about? You don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
No, it's okay. Never mind. Fuck it. Forget it.
Feel like I got my first boxing lesson. There you go. Boxing lessons with with
straight line from the first two knuckles all the way straight back through your arm. That's how you don't break your hand.
Okay, so I just saw this. Biden just tweeted, or whoever is handling him 7 hours ago said, or so not just tweeted, whatever. Everyone 6 months and up should get their updated COVID vaccine, and I especially urge folks 50 and older to get their updated shot, like I did. Reduce your odds of getting hospitalized with COVID. Schedule your appointment today.
It's commercial. He's.
I love how someone said Elon Musk at Twitter. This is misinformation. If he gets the little tag at the bottom on that, that's great. But yeah, okay. So there was something that I was talking about earlier when I said I have a story.
Yes.
So I can understand punching a wall to an extent. Is it something you should do all the time? No, you should be able to hold your frustration and your anger. Sometimes that's not always easy. So when I was living in Austin and I was engaged to someone else, I was engaged for about 2 years, and we were on the last like month maybe of the relationship, and we were all downtown. I think it was for her birthday or some celebration of something, and she got hammered. I'm not saying that I didn't get drunk as hell too, but she got hammered, and I was like, okay, here, I'm gonna take your keys. I'm gonna go get the car because it was at the end of the night. So we're all walking downtown, and I was like, there is no reason all of us need to be, hammered walking down the streets trying to get to your car. Let me just go get the car. Y'all stay here in a main area, and then I can come pick you up and we'll go home, right? So she was hammered and didn't realize, and she starts yelling at me, you're trying to steal my car, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bitch, we're going to the same fucking place. Like, what the fuck? Again, plaster drunk. So I'm like, all right, well, I got your keys. And I talked to my buddy Joe. I was like, Joe, can you just corral them? He's like, oh, okay. And then so I walk like maybe 4 steps ahead, and I feel my head yank back. And she grabbed me by my hair and yanked me back. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know it was her, but you get your shirt pulled back or anything like that, your immediate reaction is to turn around and swing. You know what I mean? Like you're getting, so I as I'm turning around, I realized it was her, and I'm like, ah, shit, whatever. And then there's like hundreds of people out on the streets that are drunk too. And I'm like, I can't do anything with this. I just let her yell at me, blah, blah, blah. Cause innocent, there's someone else who's going to see this and see, oh, dude's yelling at a girl, I'm going to hit him. And I was like, I don't fucking want to do, you know what I mean? Just cause people are idiots. And so I was like, all right, whatever, dude. And so she was like, give me my keys, blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck you. Like, all right, dude. So everyone went with her. I'm still, kind of salty on the fact that no one had my back and stayed back with me. But whatever, it's been years. And so she left. And so, yeah, exactly. It was great. Well, I'm not friends with any of them anymore, so it's fine. Well, one of them, I think, but I don't know. Anyways, that's beside the point. So she leaves. I don't know. I forget exactly who all was there. I know it was like me, her friend, one of my friends, and I think another dude, but I don't think he was there with us that time. Again, besides the point. So they all leave. And I had to walk from 6th Street, Dirty 6th, in Austin, downtown Austin, probably at least 5 miles home, by myself, middle of the night, drunk. So I walked off all my alcohol. I get in the door, and she was still drunk when I got home. She definitely her alcohol did not wear off at all. So I get home, it's probably 3:30 or 4 in the morning. And she didn't let it go. The second that I walked in, now I remember. It was during South by Southwest. So it was like in March of 2014. Sorry, just came into my head. So anyways, so she starts berating me again. And I'm like, again, my alcohol wore off. I am way more, I'm pissed off and frustrated to no end, but also I am way more clear-headed to be able to make a decision. Like, dude, can we just talk about this tomorrow? Like, let's go to bed. Like, I'll sleep on the fucking couch. I don't care. Let's just figure this out tomorrow. You're drunk. This is not something we need to deal with right now. And so, fuck you. What are you gonna do? Blah blah blah. And so again, it's what are you gonna do with a woman? Like again, I had no recourse about this. And she's like, what are you gonna do? Fucking hit me? Blah blah blah. Like saying all that shit, doing the shit that women do to test you, and get you to do something so they can play the victim. And so in my head, I was like, dude, the only way, and she's like screaming at me, and I start screaming back, and this is not good. Cops are gonna get called. You know what I mean? It's just not. And so I was like, the only way that I can get her to shut the fuck up is if I am aggressive or loud or like something. And so she was fucking screaming in the side of my ear, and I just bam and punched the wall. She shut up in 0.5 seconds and said, oh, is that how it's going to be? Fine. And then went to the thing and shut the door. And I'm like, oh my God, silence. It's great. Funnier thing. So not only did I punch the wall, I punched the wall in the perfect spot where the stud was.
Oh, so you didn't have a hole.
I don't know how I did it. I broke the stud.
It was rotted out.
Dude, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But I fucking broke the stud. And so I immediately was out of the fight that was going on here. And I was like, oh my God, that was kind of badass. You know what I mean? Like I was immediately out of the shittiness. And I was like, that was kind of cool. So I was like, fuck it. And I punched another hole with the other hand. I was an idiot. And we had shows for South by that week and night, so I had to wear a brace because my hand was sprained or fucked up.
Oh, it was broken.
It was not broken. It was sprained.
Okay.
It was not broken because I didn't have to get a cast. I just wore a little brace until.
I think when you're younger, like in your 20s, like that, like yeah, you have a lot more like rage when like those types of situations are going on. So like, but busting a hole in the wall, it's like one of those things that definitely crosses your brain, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, I've always avoided punching walls for the fact that like I knew it was a pain in the ass to fucking patch drywall. So like, so like the recourse that was going to happen after I came down off of my rage was not worth the trouble. So typically I would break a chair. I've broken several chairs where like I'd be like on a bad phone call or some shit like that. And I would just pick up like a wooden chair from like either like the back, like, and I would just like, or the legs if it was like a stool type deal, and just smash it on the ground to where it's essentially in pieces. And that was like the good way to kind of like get the rage out. Like I saw a thing on, I don't know if it was Instagram or what, but there's places called fucking rage rooms now. Have you heard about that? There's rage rooms. You can just go there and smash shit.
Dude, I want to have a birthday party there. That'd be fucking awesome.
I know. I should just open one. Dude, I just go and rent a room. Yeah, you want to do that?
New Year's. Start the year off, get all the rage out, and then the rest of the year is gonna be amazing.
That'd be fucking cool. Like I would like to find an actual rage room, because like they just give you a baseball bat and like, here you go, have fun, and then you just start going to town. Like there's like tables and old TVs and all kinds of shit in like the room, and like I just saw like a girl like smashing the hell out of a flat screen, and it looked fun.
Rage room there's a rage room in Philadelphia.
All right, now we're talking.
There's one in Westchester.
Sure. Oh, really? They're kind of common then, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to. There's one called Rage Philly. 412 Rage Room. I'm looking up for you. There's one in Pittsburgh, Carlisle.
That's further. That's way further. But like that's fine. Like I'll definitely I'll look into that, because I mean like, that's definitely something that's interesting. I think maybe it might be worth getting some footage of a rage room situation.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that'd be amazing. And like, again, it's just a way of releasing the frustration or releasing the anger. Cause like, you know, in that situation, I didn't have my own car. We shared her car, and you know, it was already a situation. Like after that situation, I literally slept on the couch. We broke up, but we still had, you know, like 3 more months on a lease together. Oof. And so we didn't want to break the lease. So I was just like, all right, we're going to break up. You can have the room. I will stay out here in the living room, and I will sleep here. I'll take care of, we'll take care of the dogs in shifts, because I had Gonzo and she had a dog, and, you know, whatever. And we'll take care of the dogs in shifts. And, you know, obviously we're probably going to get our own, you know, rocks off out of this, you know, outside of this relationship. Just don't bring them here. Go wherever you need to do that. So we had an agreement. It was as amicable as it fucking could be after a 3-year relationship. But so it was shitty, let's just say. So I mean, but I can understand the frustration over a vote in the House of Congress.
Not so much.
Need one rage room with just the printer from Office Space in it. Yes.
That gangster rap song playing in the background too. Back up in the ass with the resurrection. All right.
Real gangster ass. Play your cards right.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we have no more comments from Rumble. So and we are good over here. Perfect. Let's get this show wrapped up so you can get back to taking care of of sick kiddos. All right, y'all. Thank you very much for tuning into another episode of the Whiskey Capitalist podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow, and comment below to help out with that algorithm. Also, make sure you go to solo.to/the Whiskey Capitalist to find all of our links and how to stay up to date with us. bit.ly/the Whiskey Capitalist merch for all of our merch and the fully stacked merch store that we got going on. Go to solo.to/tilde studios for any digital design work. And I'll take care of it. Also, solo.to/the Till Death podcast. That's the one that me and my wife do. That started the whole shebang. And Sean, if you want to explain a little bit about yours.
Solo.to/I'm Sean Kev for all of my links and socials and any kind of information that's going on with Sipping with Sean.
I was about to take a sip of water.
No, you can. No, go ahead. Have a sip real quick. For this week, there's not going to be an episode of Sipping with Sean because I'm taking the family on a little trip. But yeah, I won't be around on Friday. But yeah.
Yay.
I know.
Right,
It's weird that I spend time with my family. I'm such a terrible content creator.
I mean, you're hanging out with them, when they're sick. I mean, don't they get enough of you? Jesus.
I kind of want to spend time with them when they're not sick too. I know. As weird as that might be, I kind of want to spend time with them when they're not vomiting on me and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I guess whatever. I don't have them, so I don't know. At Movies America on Twitter and Instagram, www.moviesamerica.com. Check them out or check him out, and we will have more Movies America content coming out this week. Just had a bunch of other stuff going on, so I haven't been able to get some stuff rendered and do all the thumbnails and the descriptions and all that. But just had to do some housekeeping in the back with all that. Also check out Till Death Network on Twitter to get all of the updates and all of the tweets and all the everything for the network.
Real quick, I just wanted to point out that on your screen there, on your window, the TDPN is backwards.
Is it backwards? Because it's fine on mine.
Oh no, it's backwards on here, buddy.
Is it?
Yeah. It's underneath the Sketchy Jesus thing right now. But when you bring up the other little banners, you can see it, and it's backwards. I mean, it's a super minor note here, buddy. But I'm just pointing it out in case you're a perfectionist, which you are.
Is this? Let's see. Is this better? Because I want to set this up to where it works. Is it backwards still, or is it good now?
That's still backwards. My dyslexia is getting really annoyed.
Damn it.
There it is. Now you're all better.
Yay. Yeah, I have it through OBS, so I just But what are you gonna do?
Glad I could help.
Thank you.
At the very end of the show.
So yes, yeah. So it's been that way the whole time then.
Well, yeah, but I didn't notice it until just now because you always have the Sketchy Jesus thing there, so didn't notice it.
Oh, so it's just been underneath though. God damn it. Because I'd try and have it. I had try and have it ready to go. All right. So, anyways, wait, let's see. Constructive criticism.
Yeah. I'm trying to help. I'm making things better.
I didn't know what he was talking about. Now I get it. All right. So, So with that, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, we're good. We'll do another 2 hours on Wednesday, and that'll be earlier. That'll be 6 o'clock Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific. We'll do specifically
time. Pacific time.
Specifically.
Yes, it's 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m.
Specific.
Yes. We'll be doing that because you are going to be on another live stream, huh?
Yep, I'm going to be on the Bellwether Ritual live stream, which is going to be Facebook and Instagram. I don't know if he's playing it anywhere or streaming it anywhere else, but I know those two for sure. And I'll be plugging the show and what we're doing over here at Till Death Podcast Network and whatever other topics he wants to bring up. So, yeah.
Yeah, buddy. And also, when you were watching this, whenever you are, all to the audience out there, let us know if you'd like us to talk about some more spicier topics. We can do that and try and figure out if maybe doing like an hour on YouTube and then doing an hour on Rumble and Twitter, since they're a little bit more freedom of speech happy.
Yeah, and which that'll also be pushing people to go and stream the whole thing on one location on like Rumble or whatnot,
Exactly.
just kind of like coach people away from YouTube essentially. Which I understand YouTube's very user friendly, but Rumble, it's getting better and better and better constantly. So I think it's definitely a good idea. So if you guys want to hear some more spicier content, we can end the streams on YouTube and go right over to Rumble and Twitter and continue the discussion there.
And they just redid their layout of their homepage and their feed and everything. So obviously they're working out more of their stuff and doing all that. So that's good. But yeah. So yeah, just let us know if that's something that you guys would like to see. Then we can get that all figured out. Just send us a tweet or a DM or something like that. Whiskey Cap Pod. That's what we'll do. And we'll make sure that we put the Rumble link in the YouTube description if you do decide to watch it on YouTube in the first part. So, all right. With that, we are going to get out of here. And we appreciate you guys watching us all the time. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.